Leipzig win 2-0 away to Mainz and stay level on points with Bayern at the top of the Bundesliga. Rob, perhaps unsurprisingly, Mainz fans had some pretty mean things to say about their old favorite, Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, it's interesting with Jurgen Klopp. What was the banner in the stadium? Have you forgotten everything we gave you? A famous Klopp quote. There are many famous Klopp quotes out there as well. And he's gone from being the most popular man in European football to the man that's going to be getting stick wherever he goes now. And again, the root of all evil, it seems, is some kind of soft drink. We keep talking about these things, don't we?
I mean, this really is, again, I know we've talked about this at length. In German football, if someone understands the concept of German football, going to work for the Red Bull organization, especially when you've been seen and have said, you've been the paladin of a certain type of grassroots football and the pyramid and all this stuff and the sanctity of this and that. This is an enormous heel turn. And I genuinely don't know why he did this. Because we've even had reports that Borussia Dortmund were willing to say, hey, you can come back with any title you want. You can coach, you can be director of football, you can be CEO when Hans-Joachim Watzke, leave. He had so many options. And this going to Red Bull with everything that they stand for, again, within the context, I know some people are fine with them and what they've done, but within the context of German football, they still are very much pariahs. It's just such a curious choice. Unless Klopp wants to, unless it's agent Jurgen who's going to destroy them from the inside. I don't think so. It's, I don't know.
And I just wonder how visual he's going to be in this. Obviously, he's going around the world working behind the scenes at all of the clubs and talking to the people are pulling the strings. But is he going to be seen out there? Is he going to be seen at games sitting in the director's box, glad having people?
I mean, it's hard for Klopp not to be visible and seen because he's so tall.
It's in his nature, isn't it? But it's in his nature to be out there.
You want if you're Red Bull, you want him out there to represent you. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I don't know. I genuinely wonder if he regrets it. Again, it doesn't make him a bad guy, but I can see why people are really questioning his decision.
Hammarby faced Djurgården in the Stockholm derby. How did it finish, Gab?
Well, it didn't finish because,
really?
I think Hammarby were 2-0 up, and then there was a lot of pyro. At some point, this is kind of stupid, I think, from the police. No disrespect, police. They said, okay, guys, too much pyro. All the fans, all of you guys go home so we can finish the game. Now, if you're a pyro guy in the stands, are they going to tell you? And the cops just say, everybody, please clear out in an orderly fashion. Are you going to leave? No, of course not. Or at least 99.
What is a pyro? Why do you take a pyro into a stadium?
Because it's part of the spectacle.
Now, I did notice in Germany, there was a big meeting last week, being serious now, between the German FA and the government as well. And they've banned fireworks, pyros, all that kind of stuff in the stadium. Signed Dye said it's not going to be coming back in the near future as well. So it is we don't have it in the UK, and they just wear masks in the Spanish league. Why are you wearing a mask? Well, you need to look yourself in the mirror. But I just can't understand. I mean, it's great to look at to see the pyros, but imagine if you paid $100 for a ticket and you got some guy with a sparkler in front of you. I don't get it.
I don't think so. I think the reason that's being banned is more on safety concerns.
Yeah.
There's a whole debate to be had about that. I just think the police think that you're at a football match and you can go through your loudspeaker, Swedish policeman says everybody now, please leave the stand. Of course, these guys aren't going to leave. So as a result,
they take your fireworks with you.
Yeah, they abandon the game. And then they're going to be playing today behind closed doors, as we record this on a Monday. They're going to play the last 15 minutes. How hilarious would it be if those guys showed up outside the ground with their pyro? No,
that'd be safer, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I do not want to encourage civil disobedience. No, look, I think you need to have rules. You need to enforce those rules. I think there is a space for safe pyro in football if it's done properly.
I think there is, but it's down on the field by an expert.
Oh, no. You want the corporate crap with the plastic flags?
Yeah.
The stupid at Paris Saint-Germain, they have those stupid things.
The pyros, for me, have no place in a football stadium.
I don't know.
Sorry, Gab.
All right. We disagree on that one, but obviously safety and public order have to come first.
Very good.
Neymar has been included in the El Hilal team squad to face Al Ain in the Asian Champions League. They play in a few hours here on Monday. Rob, he turns 33 in February. He has played 387 minutes for El Hilal in all competitions. And we last saw him more than a year ago.
33-year-old, hasn't played in a year, playing in a league that isn't the most demanding. I mean, and as well, I noticed you say in the squad, which suggests that he's not going to be in the starting 11.
I don't think he's going to start after not playing in more than a year.
Well, maybe it's in his contract. Can you imagine him wanting to sit on the bench and come on as an impact sub? Go on, give you the last 10 minutes if you can change the course of the game. There are some players that have gone out there. I commentated on Ronaldo last week, playing for Portugal, and he's still fit and he's fresh, and he looked like he deserved his place in the team. And I noticed Laporte was playing for Spain, and he's playing out in Saudi as well. But Neymar,
the poor man has been injured, to be fair. But it's interesting because I saw clips from, he did some YouTube live thing with some Brazilian YouTuber, and he's crying. He's talking about how badly he wants to play. I think he's got a view towards the 2026 World Cup. The big rumor, you ready for this?
Oh, go on.
Barcelona reunion. He's got a deal through the end of the season in Saudi, although there is a club option that they can extend it by a year. But the big rumor is, what if he comes to MLS and joins forces with Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez, and we reform the MSN?
The Dream Team.
The Dream Team. How cool was that? Well, that's like the third iteration of the Dream Team.
Oh, my goodness. What would the ticket prices be for that?
In
time for the FIFA World Cup, maybe? Oh, club.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, in time for the Club World Cup.
Because Miami are in that now, aren't they?
Yes, and in fact, let's digress to Miami because I forgot to put that in the quick hits. So the Club World Cup next summer, just to give some background on this, each confederation stipulates its own guidelines for how to qualify. CONCACAF has its guidelines that it submits to the Club World Cup. Mm-hmm. And you assumed, and most people assumed, it would be the MLS champion from this season, the season going into the Club World Cup. Mm-hmm. Instead, they decided, no. It's going to be the team that wins the Supporters' Shield, which is the regulars, because they have playoffs in MLS, right?
Yep.
And that team happens to be Miami, which happens to be the team that
has Messi and Suarez and maybe Neymar by then.
Yeah, and mostly Messi. Are you okay with this? Because the accusation is pretty obvious. Well, we can't take a chance on Miami not winning the MLS Cup. And then instead of, what happens if instead of Lionel Messi in the Club World Cup, which I'm trying to sell around the world, I get stuck with the Columbus Crew and No Name and Fulio in the team. Instead, I want, no disrespect, Columbus Crew.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
And isn't it Seattle as well, who just happens to have one of the largest fan bases over there as well in the States? And it's an unpopular competition. And again, the teams that have been invited from Europe, are they not historical as well, based on historical form? Man City know they're going out there, and City are playing in that. And then I think, don't they have like about 10 days break? And then City start their US tour of the United States.
Don't pick on UEFA here. No, the teams in Europe all qualified either by winning the Champions League in the previous 4 years, or by having the highest, the higher UEFA coefficients, and there's a maximum of 2 teams per country.
Yeah.
CONCACAF, obviously smaller. You're not going to invite Joe Public from Trinidad, and yes, that is really the name of a team. But obviously the process is going to be different. It's just a lot of people said, host nation, champions of the host nation, fine, but not Supporters' Shield winners. Supporters' Shield just means you got the most points in the regular season.
Yeah.
It's a bit...
They'd be saying it, but Gab, we want to know who we're selling the tickets to. This thing is only a few months ahead. We need to, when does the MLS season actually finish? We don't have enough time to... Oh, it's not that long, is it already? Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Playoffs are starting next week.
Exactly. You get my point.
It's easier to sell with Messi.
Exactly, yes. That is the underlying... Right. LVMH, you had to explain who that was. The luxury brand owned by France's richest man are teaming up with Red Bull to buy a majority stake in Paris FC. Sorry. Gab, will we finally see a legitimate local derby in the French capital again?
Okay, so first of all, LVMH, for those who don't know. And I think
I had a clue who that was.
Both you or I, as you may have figured, unlike my regular co-host, not really big in the luxury brand world, but it comprises Louis Vuitton, Moet, Chandon de Champagne, Hennessy, Christian Dior, Stella McCartney, Bulgari, who make the fancy watches at the hotel.
You're not doing this from memory.
Tiffany.
I can point out you're reading it. He's not doing this from memory.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. Right?
He's just looking at his suitcase now, and he's...
Tag Heuer, the big tacky watches.
Yes,
although not as big and tacky as the Hublot watches. which I shouldn't say because I think they sponsor Juls. But anyway, I'm happy with my Canada I watch. All right, now that we've dropped enough brands, by the way, and you guys want to sponsor us, you know where to find us. Anyway, they're owned by this guy named Bernard Arnault, who's the richest man in France. He's a legit billionaire many times over. He's taken over Paris FC together with Red Bull. He's in the process of taking over. I think this is actually exciting and could move the needle. Can you make another super team in Paris, right? Can Paris sustain it in terms of population, in terms of the fact that it's Paris, the catchment area for all the young talent? Mm-hmm. I think this is what has some people excited and maybe what has some Paris Saint-Germain fans, like the guy who normally sits in your place, maybe a little bit concerned. And you know what? It's a long way to go, but that would be good for football, right?
Yeah, I was trying to find the Paris Saint-Germain goals this weekend, and I found every other goal from the German league, the Italian league, that it is the most over-marketed and underdeveloped league in Europe. You think about all of you go to Madrid, you got Atletico and you got Real, okay, you got Getafe, you got Leganes. Was 8, 9 teams in London that in and around the Premier League as well. Go to the city of Liverpool, you got Liverpool and Everton. You go to Manchester, the City and United. Surely a capital city like that with, a great national team and great players that are playing all over Europe should be able to house more than one top-level team in Ligue 1, shouldn't it? It needs to, at least. It needs that rivalry for marketing purposes.
Well, Paris FC in the women's game already, of course, they were in the Champions League last year. I don't think this year they went through to the next stage, but they're already there. It's interesting because obviously there's 2 Paris teams in the second division, the other one being Red Star, but they're in 7-7-7 group hell, so I don't know where they're going. I think they're close to relegation. But Paris FC, they're second in the second division, so there's a really good chance they're going to come up. They don't get big crowds. In fact, they're one of those teams that gives their tickets away and tries to make it up with sponsorship, which is a nice idea. Maybe it's even economically viable. However, it's not exactly what investors want to hear. They'd rather you pay to sit in seats, right? The fun thing about them is they were founded in 1969. I'd completely forgotten this until I looked it up. And then a year after that, they formed with a team called Saint-Germain, and they became Paris Saint-Germain. And then 2 years later, they split off again and became Paris FC.
Oh, you're right in the narrative here, aren't you? For when they play each other in Ligue 1 and they're selling those TV rights around the world. This is what French football needs.
They're the ultimate. It's the ultimate splitters. It's a story about love and passion, unrequited, and they break up and they get together.
This sounds like a film script.
It's pretty cool.
I think Jules could get a part in it, couldn't he? You could see him. Who would he play?
Oh my God, Jules would be all over this.
Yeah.
So
he might be the richest man who's buying the other team, though, rather than Paris Saint-Germain. So
I think Jules could play Monsieur Arnault. Yeah, he could play Bernard Arnault. Yeah. I think he's made for it. Yep. You've given us a phenomenal idea there.